Necar Zadegan is an actress that you have seen all over your televisions and Broadway stages. More than that, she is a wildly intelligent and adventurous person who is a joy to be around. Truly, she inspires and warms every room that she walks into. In this episode, we get into everything from making our fathers proud should we suddenly vanish, to the joy of living each moment fully.
No, I think that we as artists, all of us as artists, are people all of us are people of frequency. I think it's magical.
This is a conversation that I would definitely want to run back. Enjoy.
He didn't change.
No, he didn't change.
That's cool.
5 brothers and sisters. They look like me, all of them.
Yeah.
And his mom, so sweet, Marta. We are Catholics.
That's my mom's name.
We are Is it really?
Yeah, Marta.
Marta,
So
beautiful.
here's a great story. My mom, when she became an American citizen, she had to give up her passport. That was the agreement with Colombia at the time. So she gives up her Colombian passport. Last year on my birthday, I flew.
When's your birthday?
July 28th.
Oh, cool. It's coming up.
Is it? I mean, yeah, it's coming up,
eventually.
but not like. When's your birthday?
June.
Also
June 20th.
coming up.
Yeah, eventually. It's just like birthday.
You're a Cancer.
Now. No, Gemini.
Gemini.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I took my family out to Colombia for my birthday. And my mom was in love. She was enamored. The little girl in her woke up. My dad was in love. They were walking around. They were like so happy, and they felt healthy, and they felt nourished. And they were like, we want to move here. So my mom didn't have a passport. They're together still.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, 30, 40, many years.
Amazing.
Many years. 38, maybe. It's a lot. And as soon as my mom gets back to Miami, because that's where my parents are now.
I love Miami.
Yeah. It's nice.
Why'd you
Also
move there?
and not where I want to live, but
I know. I was thinking about it.
Fantastic to go visit the folks. And I get to do work there too, which is nice. I'm grateful. I get to go a lot of places.
Yeah.
And my mom gets back to Miami. She goes to the Colombian consulate. They're like, we need your birth record. She's like, I was born in like the 50s in Colombia. I do not have birth records for you. And they were like, well, hire this lawyer. And this feels so Colombian too. Hire this lawyer. They'll figure it out. So she pays this lawyer, and guess what? He's like, I found them. And you're like, no questions asked. Great. He's like, meet me at the consulate. Go to the consulate. On these birth records, my mom has been going by Martha her whole life. Martha. Her name is Marta. No H. And she felt very moved by this, like the whiteification of your name.
Totally.
Her name is not Martha. Her name is Marta.
That's a big deal.
Marta Olga, yeah. Like, it's a big deal. And so she just discovered this. She didn't even know this is like a little girl. I don't think she forgot it or chose to forget it. She came to this country when she was 8. And so Marta.
How do you feel you can talk about your parents a lot. How do you feel talking about them?
Great. I love my parents.
Of course you do. But I mean, do you ever feel, because I'll tell you why I'm asking, because I feel sometimes, I feel very protective of them and their story. And like, I'll tell you, like we're having dinner, like I'll tell you and excitedly, but I get a little bit like protective when I talk about them in like interview aspects. Like I just get protective, especially like these kind of things, like things that I know that affects their heart deeply. Do you ever feel like that?
I mean, I feel like at one point they're used to it now because
Yeah,
they're a
you wrote a
huge
book.
part of my art. I mean, they're in books, they're in plays, they're in, my father used to tell women I dated, like, be careful with any, because Chris is always listening, always watching.
No, really.
Next thing
Writers.
you know, there's a story about you.
Yeah, totally.
To me, it is. I like to think I'm never vilifying them, but honoring them and honoring their wisdom. The best thing I ever did was I got to re-meet my parents as people. And I did this through this project, Rubirosa, where I interviewed them. And I didn't interview them as like, yo, you did this, you didn't do this, why'd you do this? It was just like, okay, you're 20 years old, you meet Ma, what happens? And you realize that parents are people who are just doing their best. They don't have the playbook. They don't have the answers. They're literally doing the best with what they have. And so when I talk about them, I think it's to honor 2 people who did their best. And I'm wildly inspired by 2 people who did their best, who turned nothing into something. They're like master classes of alchemy to me,
Yeah.
And And so shout out to Martha and William.
Hi, Marta.
They're great. Oh yeah, Marta and William. See, even I'm caught in the in the fucked upness of it all. Who am I talking with?
Hi, this is Necar Zadegan.
Necar Zadegan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a great name. What does Necar mean? Anything?
Yeah, Necar is actually the name of a river in Germany that I was born on.
Wow.
My parents wanted to name me a name that was similar. That's a Persian name. But I was born in Germany on the river, and it just was kind of this, I don't know, romantic thing that it was so similar. And
when you say born on the river, like you're adjacent to the river or you're born on a boat?
no, I came out really like surprisingly. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I was next to the river. But sometimes I tell people I came out just on the river. My dad couldn't make it to the hospital. It was crazy. Yeah, but no, it was just by the river. Heidelberg is the city that I was born in. And it's beautiful. Have you been to Germany?
I've only been to Berlin.
Berlin's cool.
I have thoughts about.
Of course.
I'm the only person who doesn't like Berlin.
What don't you like about it? And what were you doing there?
I was
in the war.
Teaching.
No,
I was in the war. I was teaching.
That's cool.
I used to
German
do these,
people? You were teaching German?
I used to do these storytelling workshops with refugees and locals.
That's amazing.
And so I did these series of workshops in Berlin.
Were they Turkish refugees primarily?
No, at that time they were, God, this was a long time ago. Who was I working with primarily? I want to say Syrian, but my mind feels like that's a
lie?
A
You're
lie
lying to me?
because of the current.
We only just met.
Yeah.
You don't have to lie to me. That's really interesting, regardless of what their background was. It's so interesting because, especially what's happening with Germany right now and how they've moved more conservative. So, and in their refugee situation is one of the reasons why. So anyway, so you were there doing that.
Yeah, here's my thing with Berlin. And so many people love Berlin. Berlin doesn't have any uniqueness. It's like the only thing that's unique about Berlin is the 24-hour clubs. And that is unique. But besides that, it's
Did
just
you go?
so...
I've never been to them.
I did not.
No?
I did not. I went to some actually really dope dance parties. So I did go to some, there is a dance party scene there that is super tight.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, it felt at the time kind of perfect. Like it was just like a wash. It was like, let me take the best parts of LA and not the worst parts. Let me take the best parts of New York and not the worst parts.
That sounds great. You make it sound great.
I thought it wasn't. I wanted some grime. I wanted some I was like, where's the flavor? Give me something.
It was probably on the east side and then they just blended.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like I had any flavor, but people really love Berlin, and so maybe I need to give it another shot.
Well, it's really affordable.
And
Berlin.
They probably also care about people. Well, I mean, things are changing.
But I think that's a big reason because artists can afford to live there.
Yeah.
Places like New York and Los Angeles keep pushing artists out into the periphery. But in Berlin, the rent is really cheap. So you get to have art inside.
Why don't you move
city.
to Berlin?
I like it here, man.
You like it here?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I complain about it all the time and I act like I don't like it.
It's like a marriage. LA is like a marriage.
I'm talking about the U.S.
Oh, the
but
U.S.
LA too. No, I like it here. I like it. But I don't know. I've thought about it. What would I do in Berlin? I don't know.
Just be yourself.
You can do, when you watch that show like House Hunters, you realize you can be who you are anywhere,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I actually thought about it. I was dating somebody who was from Berlin and I spent some time in Berlin but I don't know. I mean, I think it's tricky. Well, one of the reasons my parents moved to the U.S. instead of staying in Europe was because of this idea that you can never really be German when you live as a non-German. Or you can never be French, or you can never be Belgium, or Swedish, whatever. Those countries are very, they're and they don't pretend to be anything else. They're so lovely. Some of the countries have opened their doors to refugees, like the Nordic countries were so beautiful for a long time, Sweden and these countries who open their doors to refugees and they have a huge refugee population. But you're never going to be Swedish. But in America, you can be American. And regardless of what they tell you or, the people they're trying to push out now with the immigration laws and things like that, that was the truth to my parents, And they wanted us to grow up in a place where we could, because there was a revolution, in the country that my family is from. And my parents were already Americans. They were already living here before that. And so they decided to return instead of staying in Europe. And they really liked Europe. They probably would have stayed there for a little longer. But they decided to come back here for that reason specifically, when it seemed like things were kind of all over the place. And, suddenly we were these people with a country that was not easily accessible anymore for us. So, yeah, that's why they decided to come back to the U.S. And so their children would be part of the fabric of the society instead of outsiders. And so that's kind of real. That is real. But I think that in Europe, I have family who lives in Europe, in France particularly, and they're French, but they're ethnically not French. Well, some of them are ethnically French, but some of them, are other mixes, and their spirit is so revolutionary, the French. And they're really good about pushing back on those kinds of laws and things like that. And I think that maybe that's changing.
I think it's changing globally.
Yeah, I think so too.
What did Denmark just say? They're stopping international aid. They're
Yeah.
like hopping on this train, which is so wild to hear from them. And then in France, Germany, so many places are moving to what we call right, which I think we need to change this word right or left. This is a bigger issue of, like, by saying right and left, we're not acknowledging the extreme illusion of separateness, the extreme hate. So we bottle up really kind of nasty things no one wants to talk about by using the word right or far right. And it's happening all over the globe, which means a bunch of people don't feel like they've been listened to or heard.
Yeah.
Fun times.
I mean, yeah, actually. Interesting times. They say you want to, grow up in interesting times. These are interesting times.
You feel that?
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. I mean, I'm into history. And I was always kind of a history buff. And I was always into the stories and stuff. And I feel like there's been a lot of interesting times. But it did feel like kind of, especially when I was growing up. But actually, no, when I was growing up, those were interesting times too. I think everybody just wasn't as aware of it. But, the internet, people say a lot of negative things about the internet because it probably does have a lot of negative qualities that outweigh its positive ones. But there is this, like when I was growing up in the U.S., there was never in high school was I ever going to go to high school and have some kid come in and be like, hey, have you heard this amazing band from Poland? It was never going to happen, But now people do. They reach out to, other countries and you can kind of land yourself in any city and kind of go walking around, just at the click of your computer. And I think young people really make use of that.
We were interviewing this young woman, Delara.
Yeah.
And she said when she was a kid, she fell in love with this German band.
Oh, yeah.
And she was learning German. She used the internet to learn German. And then she started a community of people who loved this German band. And she wrote fan fiction for the German band.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think that's really cool. But I think that was unique to the U.S. because, being that my family is, foreign, and the fact that we were traveling a lot, it didn't seem like that in other countries. Like in the other countries, like you would turn on the TV and there was like different channels, from different countries. And we didn't really have that here until, things really started streaming. You see all these different movies, all these international movies on your Netflix and things like that. But that wasn't really that way. There was a Spanish channel in California. I don't know if there was elsewhere, but there was in California.
You speak Spanish?
A little bit, yeah. I did a Spanish film, and I learned Spanish for the film.
Wow.
So I know all my lines. And it was...
I know my lines.
I know my lines. But I'm not somebody that remembers. Like, once I do the thing, it's like out,
You gotta get rid of it. Hold on to that forever.
But I remember the lines from that movie.
What's one of them?
Oh, it was so poetic. The movie was called Ojos de Pero Azul, which was the name of a poem. And so all the lines were very poetic. They were kind of nonsensical. Like, for example, there was one I remember I think, was it my opening or was my closing? And I'd say, Cuando me duermo del lado del corazón, su ruido metálico me despierta. And that means when I'm laying on the left side of my heart, the metallic taste of it wakes me up. Like, something's just so beautiful. But,
That's great.
It was very, when I first started working and doing the films that I was doing, they were really, like, avant-garde. And
so you're
really
a performer,
yeah.
an actress, among many other things. When did you start? When does the young woman fall in love with performing or art? Or
it was always what I knew I was going to do. Like, I never thought that I wasn't going to do this. And my mom is the center of the world. And she believes that I've decided to take this.
Spoken like a true, there's so many, brown kids listening who are like, yep, my
So is
mom
mine.
Oh, we have the same mom? Yeah.
You've met her?
Yeah.
So anyway, she thinks that I decided to do this life because she would read like plays with me and stuff when I was in utero. And actually, I think there's a lot of value in
She
research.
would read plays?
Yeah, plays and like monologues, and she would like play out scenes with me and
Wow.
stuff like that.
Maybe she is responsible.
Maybe, but some people believe we choose our parents from the other side.
Yes.
And-
If you're conscious enough to.
If you believe that,
I'm a big believer in this. I've spent many years with the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and I believe we have the ability to choose our rebirth if we have worked on it enough.
But you don't think everybody does. You think some people just came through.
No. You've done this so many times. You've been everyone, mother and father, 1,000 times, and maybe in an inkling you get enough awareness to actually be aware in the rebirth process.
Well, I love the idea of it.
And maybe you were.
I don't know.
Mama.
I don't know. But if that's true, the fact that I came through, because Khalil Gibran says that they're not of us, but they come through us.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I love that. But I think that I know that I have parents that are really open to my pursuit of life as an artist, and that is unique for any culture, for anybody, but also specifically in my culture, and for any parent that wants. I think it's nerve-wracking if your kid tells you they want to be an artist. I think it can be. It wasn't for my parents, and so maybe I chose them, and maybe that was the reason. I don't know, but yeah, I always knew I wanted to do this. I was always involved, and my mom had us in everything, tap, ballet, acting classes, everything. And my sister wasn't into it. She was like, she's so cool. My sister's the coolest person, and I'm the greatest gift of my life.
Older, younger?
Younger, we're 1 year apart.
Cool.
And she was so good at everything, and she's so beautiful, and she was really great. I did this fine. We went to the same university together, and I had to do this final in different majors, and I had to do this final scene for my drama class. And my scene partner, my final scene, her name was Ronnie. She was a lovely actress. She got really nervous, and she couldn't do it. She was like, I'm sick. I can't do it.
She lied. She wasn't sick.
No, she was sick. She was
really...
throwing up, couldn't do it.
She was so nervous she got
so
sick.
nervous about the final scene, she got sick, yeah. So my sister, who I lived with, I was like, you got to do this with me. And we used to play all the time. And she was like, you got to do this scene with me. And I called my acting teacher. I was like, Rick, his name was Rick Mokler. And I was like, Rick, is it okay and he was like, yeah, if she can do it. So anyway, we rehearse all that night. We go the next day, we do my final scene. And at the end, he was all kinds of slow clap. And comes up to us and he was like, Necar, yeah, you're great, but Shireen, you ever thought about being an actress? And she was like, me? No. So she's great, but she just wasn't in it. She was like, I'm not a monkey. I'm not gonna dance. But that was kind of her vibe. But I was into it, and so I was just like always really involved, always doing just everything, missing Christmas parties, my family and stuff, like really committed. And I had I guess it's my professional debut, as you call it, at 16. And I went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Oh, sick.
So with a
fun.
show. Yeah. With a couple shows. You know how everybody does shows in tandem and stuff like that there. And it was the coolest.
So fun.
Yeah, so fun. Have you been?
Yeah.
Cool,
but
right?
At 16.
Yeah,
It's
at
fun.
16. At 16, I was drunk for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
On White Russians.
That feels right.
Barf. That was the only drink I knew. But it was cool. It was really cool. And everybody you meet is an artist. And theater is such a different part of their culture, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, theater in Europe
but in the UK.
is respected and loved in a
Yes,
different way.
totally. I mean, you get off the plane at Heathrow and there's like their theater actors on the wall welcoming you, to London. That's respect.
I lived in Serbia after college, and I was doing theater there, and you would tell people you were an actor, and they would say thank you.
That's
all
beautiful.
the time.
That's beautiful. They're tall in
all
Serbia.
they are tall.
Yeah, they're tall, right?
Because I'm not a short person.
No,
and
you're not.
It's a
Did you
weird
feel
thing.
short there?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. They're that tall.
Yeah.
Wow. God bless.
Yeah.
Good for them. Well, there's a couple of great basketball players that are from
There's
Serbia.
many.
Yeah.
It's actually why I was able to live there comfortably, is because I would play a lot of I would play a lot of pickleball.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
You got to be tall for pickleball.
We didn't pick this. Well, basketball is a big part of their culture, and it's a big part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't speak the language, but I could play ball with anybody in the street. You know, I could just be like, I got next, and they loved this American who didn't speak English, like who could play basketball. They always wanted to take me out after, show me this, and it was so fun. But you're out there and you tell people, you know, I'm an actor, and they say thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And did you say you're welcome?
I don't think I said you're welcome. I don't think I said
missed
you're welcome.
Opportunity.
Missed opportunity. I think I said, yeah, cool.
Basketball is such an interesting game. I love basketball, but it's a really interesting game. I mean, I'm tall. Again, my sister, amazing basketball player.
What? Who is this person? Can we just bring her in? She here?
No. Oh well, she is. She's in Malibu.
I mean, bring her down.
She's she was really good point guard. She played. She's not tall. My sister's not tall. It's a good height, 5'5", brown eyes, perfect. but I'm tall, so yeah, it would have made sense. But I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I don't know if I was not coordinated with that. I was just like, I don't know. We would play, my cousins and her would play, and this is why basketball is, it's really competitive. And you really got to get after it. You really got to get after it. And I would just like daydream, like just hold travel.
You're just doing monologues.
No, for real. And that's why I think it's interesting, because it was born in the U.S., really, basketball. And these countries that have kind of taken it on are so good at it, are specific. And I was in Sweden doing a job in Stockholm, and I was walking. There's a place there's a part of town called Södermalm. It's very cool. It's the south part of town. It's very cool, very young, very hip. So if you're going to see a basketball game anywhere, you'll see it in that part of town. And there were all these Swedes. I assume they were Swedes. They looked Swedish, and I was in Sweden playing on this court. You couldn't have imagined anybody getting after it less. Somebody Swedish might watch this and get annoyed and hate this, but that was my feeling, because I've seen people playing basketball in courts all over this country, and they really
go for it.
Yeah, especially like with the chain hoops. You know, they're really going for it. You can hear it. You know,
the
that
Swedes
sound.
are chilling.
In that day,
casual.
That day, it was very shared, the experience of shooting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of antithetical to the sport, I feel.
Well, they're also more, democratized nation.
But that's what I mean.
They're probably a little more kind.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what sports people who are from different parts of the globe go into, or cinema too. I feel like you can tell a lot about somebody's culture from cinema. Cinema specifically, not just movies, but you know what I mean when I say cinema.
A real movie.
Well, like something where something is being spoken about. Like our films are very hero-centric.
Well, our films are still privatized, and so many other countries, the government will pay a large chunk.
Right, that's
and so
true.
you don't have to make your box office back.
That's true.
You get to make actual art.
Yeah, that's true.
You get to tell a story because you're not predicated to the idea of success or failure.
Mm-hmm.
The government is still investing in art as having a purpose.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Sick. Do you have other citizenship?
No, but I will
US?
once. Now that Mama got,
you can't get Colombian.
Now that Mama got Colombian, I'm gonna go get Colombian.
Is that a useful passport for you?
It's right now. It's all useful. Okay, it's all.
Yeah, good.
It's all doing great work. So yeah, I'm gonna go get Colombian.
That's exciting.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I like it there.
I'm sure I would too.
It's really pretty. Wait, so you haven't been?
No, I haven't. My sister had gone.
Where is she? Bring her.
My dad, I know. This is a podcast. So you'll title the name of this podcast.
My sister.
My sister's keeper. Yeah, no, she'd gone for a wedding. No, I haven't. As a matter of fact, South America is someplace that I've been to a lot of places, but South America I haven't explored, and I've wanted to for a long time.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend.
I'm sure.
Get on a plane.
What's stopping me?
Nothing. Colombia is amazing. It's beautiful. It's the most biodiverse place in the world. It's very fun.
I'm sure. Do you speak Spanish?
I do. I'm working on it. I'm getting better.
But you didn't grow up speaking it?
I didn't grow up speaking it. It's a big part of my sort of journey and identity and the whole idea of brown enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It just wasn't a part of my parents were busy assimilating,
Mm-hmm, yeah.
doing life which is very common.
Do you wish you learned?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But also it's part of me finding my voice, is me finding my own shame and my own, pena around my not speaking the language, and then coming to return to it and admit that. Admit that out loud and share that, and my own practice of feeling uncomfortable and learning a thing I think I should know, which I know actually many of the listeners here understand that whole like third world kid, no sabo kid kind of identity. You speak Iranian?
Yeah, Persian. I speak Persian. We call it Farsi, but in English it's called Persian, which English-speaking people call it Farsi if they know that a lot. And it's kind of always sounds a little weird to me, like when they say that. Although that's okay, it's nice. But it's like if somebody was like, "Do you speak Espanol?" It'd be weird,
Oh, wait, so you find it weird if someone came to you and was like, "Yo, you speak Farsi?"
No, I think it's nice. That just means that but I don't know if they know that that's not in English. Like in English, it's called Persian.
I never knew that. I've
Yeah.
heard the word Farsi so many times, and I never
And
knew
that's what
it
we
was-
call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, do you? And they're always like, no. But sometimes people do. Yeah, of course I do. But, I really understand what you're talking about when you're talking about the assimilation factor, because my grandma lived with us, my mom's mother. My mom's father passed when I was very young, 3. I was 3. And, so my grandmother moved in with us, which is very typical of our culture, in that we grow up communally,
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And I think that if any child that has the luck to grow up around multi-generations in their family is very lucky. And I loved my grandmother very much. And she did speak English, but she didn't want to. And she also, her English was very broken. But she ended up living in this country longer than she ever lived in Iran. And it's very interesting, the immigrants, because they immigrated. My grandparents, my mother's parents immigrated to the U.S. And they didn't plan on staying, but my mother came to an age where they just thought that she shouldn't be hopping around. She finished school here, And then they were going to go back and stuff. And they would go back and forth all the time. So I never thought of themselves as Americans, And I thought that was interesting, given that she ended up living here longer than there, but she would always go back and forth. And so she was the reason that we learned, and I'm very, very grateful about that.
Did she pass while you were in the home?
She passed after I'd left. I was almost 30 before she passed. I think I was in my late 20s.
I asked
and still didn't feel long enough.
Because this thing you talk about, what a blessing it is to have multi-generations in your home. I'd read this book recently about, it was very common up until very recently to have the grandparent, it's more circular than arrow. And we sell time and things as an arrow, but it's circular. And so it was more common to have your parents return to the home. They sort of take on a new role. And then the youth see this aging process. And it was super common that they would die in the home. And so the youth would see the dying process. And we're so far from the dying process. We're so devoid of it. We don't talk about it. We don't think about it. We think it doesn't happen. Like somehow we're going to escape it. There's Netflix documentaries called Don't Die or whatever, right? Like this guy's billionaire is obsessed with extending his life. Like you will not win.
Yeah.
You will not win the battle.
Yeah.
Like just put your grandma in your home and watch how beautiful it is to let go.
Yeah.
To release a shoe that's too tight.
Yeah.
Which is how a teacher of mine describes death. It's like taking off a tight shoe. Just let go. And I didn't have this, privilege, but maybe we can return to this, building families and watching, embracing death as a part of the journey. We get old, it happens. We let go. We come back, we do it all over again. We pick our parents and maybe they read monologues to us while we're in the womb. And so the cycle begins. Okay, so you leave college. You do this great scene with your sister. Your sister steals the show.
Yeah, I had done some stuff, beforehand. Like I had gone to the Fringe Festival. I had a couple jobs, and I was doing a lot of theater and stuff when I was in college, primarily theater. But I did a couple other things. I was just doing a lot of kinds of things. I was modeling. I remember I got my SAG card when I was in college through this modeling agent that I had, because they were shooting. They were shooting Bedazzled. You remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
In the city that I went to college in, because they shot it all over.
Where'd you go to college?
In Santa Barbara, UCSB.
Pretty.
Just north a little bit. Yeah, very pretty. And anyway, so they needed this body double for Liz Hurley. And I did a couple days on that movie as her body double. And I think I was like 19. And my modeling agent was really like excited about it. And she was like, you're going to get your vouchers for a SAG card. I didn't even know what one was. I was like, what is that? Do I need one? She was like, yes, you need one. And I was like, okay. And then I got the vouchers from that movie doing that job. And I always think it's so interesting how people got their SAG card. It was really interesting.
Shameless.
Is that how you got yours?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? You were doing, like they gave you tapped heart lead on that show?
I think I tapped heart lead on a commercial, and then I had to get it for Shameless.
You had to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was $1,200 at that time when I had gotten my vouchers.
I don't remember mine. Yeah.
I remember it because I was like, I'm not getting
So
this.
expensive.
When I was in college, I was like, this is not what I was like, do I need it today? She was like, no. But then, I eventually paid it. And then I got it when I moved to LA. Because then, then I was really going to use it, which was shortly after. Yeah. And then it was interesting because I moved to LA. I moved to LA in a post 9/11 America. 9/11 happened when I was at the university. And it was as unbelievable as it could be. And I didn't expect that it was going to be so pivotal in my career, but in terms of, and in my world, but our business is so interesting. It's the greatest U.S. export is entertainment before everything else. It's an easy thing to not recognize or know or remember, but it is. And so it's going to be affected by everything that happens, And so, yeah, I moved to L.A. and it was a strange dynamic, one that I wasn't even really aware of, but in hindsight more, I was kind of aware of it. Because slowly, everything started getting more and more specificity within casting. I feel like the goal eventually is that everybody can play any role, like the...
You think that's the goal?
Yeah, I do. Like, that...
Like, that's your goal or that's Hollywood's goal?
No, I think that's humanity's goal, where we all, like, can be a part of things together. Like, I think... oh, gosh, what's that play that was on Broadway? That one.
Oh, the play on Broadway?
That one?
Hamilton?
Yeah. Hamilton casting. So cool.
You should have seen the play. You would have had a great joke about Hamilton. You missed out on an unbelievable joke that I have.
Do it. Just say it.
No. I all right, I'll do it. So I have this moment. I show these terrible casting numbers in Hollywood. Like, like white is like, this is like the UCLA diversity report, and white is like 74% of all roles cast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we somehow split up the rest between a bunch of other people. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And then I say, where a lot of people of color are getting work?
Hamilton.
And I say, y'all seen Hamilton? You seen Hamilton? You heard about Hamilton? You watch Hamilton? That's what people say to me all the time. They say, Chris, man, you seen Hamilton? Chris, man, you rap, right? Chris, you rap, you got to audition for Hamilton. Chris, man, when you go audition for Hamilton? Chris, man, you got to audition for Hamilton. Chris, did you audition for Hamilton? To which I ask, why? Why should I audition for Hamilton? Now, what they would like to say is because it's the colored people show with rapping, duh. But instead, they're like, it just seems right up here. That's fine. You can do whatever you want. And then I rap some In the Heights, and then we move on with the show.
Oh, In the Heights was a great show, too.
Huh?
Yeah.
But anyway, Hamilton.
Well, I mean, I just think that type of casting is very freeing. Like when I was in...
We will not see that. Not never. That's aggressive. We are not going to see that consistently in Hollywood for a very long time.
Well,
I think we need to reimagine our storytelling.
Yeah, you do.
100%.
In what way do you mean?
I mean, in theater, you have like... I just think a movie is so far from saying, like, here's an Alexander Hamilton, let's make him Iranian.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make
Yeah,
him
it is.
So
I'll tell you
far,
right now.
So far.
And
So when I say we need to reimagine our world, I just mean, like, we need Harrys and Sallys that are just South Asian and Puerto Rican. And
well, that
it's
was
not
my
about
life.
Them being. Exactly.
That's my world.
That's all our worlds. That's not
Yeah.
that's any body of culture's world is them being just people.
Mm-hmm.
People who are out in the world doing their best, fucking laughing, having fun, getting into trouble. we just need to be regular people on a consistent basis. We don't even need to be superheroes. Like, we just need to be ourselves, and we need to see ourselves. That's my soapbox.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. It's interesting that you say, well, we don't need to be superheroes. It almost feels like that'll be a quicker casting.
Superhero?
Yeah, 100%. Because they're weird.
Oh, no, that's what we get.
They're exotic.
Oh, it's also what Hollywood says. We did it. Look, you have a Superman. Look, you have this. Now be quiet. Like, I gave you this thing. So if I give you one big shiny thing, nothing really needs to change. You know, ever since George Floyd, the numbers have, like, the talk of diversity has gotten louder, and the numbers in Hollywood's representation have gotten significantly worse.
I didn't know that.
Because the louder you talk, the less you actually have to act. You know, you fill up the tabloids and you fill up the streams with volume of diversity and care, and then you don't have to do anything. And so that's how I often feel about, like, I love every body of culture getting an Oscar and an award, but when they get one, they're like, we did it. We did it, guys. Guys, we did it. So we're good for the next 5 years, you know. And what we need is, like, we just need regular average stories that don't get nominated for shit, that don't make a ton of money. We just need, like, the consistency to increase. But it's hard.
It was so interesting when Halle Berry won her Oscar. Do you remember when she won her Oscar?
I do.
I was very young. I was, a kid. And she won her Oscar, and she had a very strong reaction. Do you remember? She had a very strong reaction, and it was from behind the television that I, as young as I was aware that the vibe inside the room got weird. I don't even care if anybody disagrees. This is the truth. I'm telling you what happens. And the vibe inside that, because she was so emotional, but not in the normal way that actresses get emotional. She was really emotional. And I didn't really know what it was about. But in hindsight, she said, thank you for letting me be the vessel. And now I get it. Now I know what she was saying. She was talking about something so much bigger than herself and her role, and her probably extreme surprise that they allowed her to come up there. Who's they? But you know what I mean?
Oh, we know that.
She was allowed to kind of take front and center. And now I get it. I've worked with her. She's lovely. She's very lovely, lovely person. And deserved it, for sure, Deserved. That word.
Yeah, there's some gatekeeping. Not some. There's a lot of gatekeeping. Which leads me into, you have a production company.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, it just sort of happened kind of organically. My business partner, who directs and produces also, was kind of creating this thing, and I kind of came on to help, and then we did a couple things together, and then suddenly it just felt like we had this company. So we gave it a title, and so it's a great opportunity to be a part of projects from a different perspective, which I really think is a fantastic way to work for an actor or for any artist. But to find
what is the fantastic way?
To kind of see your art from the other perspectives of the project.
Oh yeah.
You can really it can feed a lot of your own inspiration and creativity and things like that.
What are you excited about right now?
What am I excited about right now?
Yeah, not in your career. Sure, in your career, in your life, in the world, anything.
I mean, I'm kind of just excited. I really like my favorite time of day is definitely morning, because I've stayed up late enough to see the morning many times. And now I wake up all the time. I really love to wake up early, but it's just filled with so much promise every morning,
awesome.
So I'm just I'm excited about, I'm doing this job that I really love, and I'm really excited about kind of seeing it through, and I'm really excited about, it's the beginning of the year. I'm really excited about what the year holds, and I'm just excited.
That's cool. Amen.
Yeah. What are you excited about? Anything in particular?
Anything in particular? I'm making so much cool art right now.
Oh, that's cool.
And that feels really nice. I'm working on this new piece I've spoken about it today already. I speak about it every day. I'm obsessed with it.
Is it a book?
It's not. I'm theatricalizing the dying process. I'm theatricalizing a year left to live. I want us all to have a year left to live, and would we change our lives?
For anybody or for the world?
It'll be a theater show, and so it'll be a live show, and so we will get in a room together. I will put 60 minutes on the clock, and we will all die together. And we will see if we changed our lives.
What's your fascination with death right now? Rebirth?
I'm fascinated with death. Death is such a we have more luscious lives when death is on our left shoulder, reminding us that you might be the last person I might have a conversation with. You might be the last face I take in. Oh, wonderful. So cool. That's so amazing. It's not even gratitude. It's just like noticing this could be the last. Whoa, this table, this thing, this mic. A mic? That's so crazy. I don't even know how this technology works, but I'm using it. It's so tight. Sick. My face, my life, coffee. Love it. That's
real.
I think that it brings me more life.
Absolutely.
When you make love with death, when it comes to you, when you make love, when you go on a date, when you take a shower, when you're shitting, when you're pissing, it makes everything. It's just a little more vibrant, And so I think we can do this with people, and so I want to. This is a new piece I'm creating. I'm very grateful. People paying me to make art. So I get to make a new project, and this is the project I want to make. And I have this really cool show, How to Get Free, coming out. I'm so excited. I get to make art, and that's really, really cool. And I think it's needed now as much as ever. It's a great project with this woman, Annie Gonzalez. And I'm just I get to make shit.
That is exciting. I'm going to tell you that a secret about my audition process.
Yeah.
Especially in the early days, when I would go into rooms and people didn't know me at all, I would go into rooms, and that ended up becoming part of that was how I would naturally kind of calm myself and focus, is I would think about, because there's so many ways to die on the LA freeway. There really is. And it could just happen like that, especially the way I used to drive. And anyway, so I used to think if I die after leaving this audition in a terrible car accident, my dad's because he loves me, he's going to want to know what happened that day. And he's probably going to get a hold of this tape that I make here in this audition room. So I better be good. Just in case I'm dead after this.
That's so good.
And it would actually really kind of put me in the present in a real way.
I think
this casting director is the last person I'm going to see in my life.
Yo, I think if it's your audition, I think that's so good. If you're writing something, just enjoy it. Enjoy the writing of it. Enjoy it. Make it juicy. Make it yummy. Make it yummy for you. Not for somebody else, but as you're writing it, I hope you fucking love it. I hope you're this is so good.
Yeah.
This turns me on. This boils my blood, and so it's gonna boil someone else's, because look how amped I'm getting about it. I love that. I love that so much. That's a great cheat.
It was real. And
That's
then
a
I just
great
kept
cheat.
not dying. I did get into a
And then
terrible
I
car
kept not
accident
dying.
once, though, after a thing.
After an audition?
It wasn't an audition. It was after I'd shot this short film. I was in my 20s. I'd just gotten here, and I had shot this short film, and I was on my way to a reading, a play reading. Or film reading, something. And I was really happy. I was I'm so cool. I just felt like such an actress, had just finished this short film, and I was getting in my car to go to a reading, and I just felt so productive, everything was in my favor. So I get in the car, and I just felt so good that I felt I should put on some lipstick and a little mascara to get myself look as good as I feel,
Look as good as I feel.
And I wasn't paying attention. I got into a terrible car accident and totaled my car. But I lived.
It's funny, Shameless was my first job because...
It's not funny. You got to pay attention when you drive. You do.
So Shameless is my first job. And after college, you do these I went to a performing arts school, and we do these showcases. And one of my first auditions was Shameless.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it was my first auditions, and I'm on my way there, and I'm feeling good, And I'm but I'm also fucking jazzed, and I'm about to miss the exit. So I'm you got to be fucking kidding me.
You crossed 5 lanes.
Yes, I did.
I
did. I crossed 5 lanes, and then I don't hit a car, but I kind of go over this
the median.
destroy my tire. Destroy it. And I'm
See what
like,
I'm saying?
no, I'm going to be late. Just like as if that's my life, I'm going to be late, da-da-da. Fuck life, fuck living. So I'm changing the tire. Meanwhile, I'm getting dirty. Just terrible. I still show up. They had a pass for me to park on the lot, which also first time. This feels
Exciting.
amazing. My car is
I
a
know.
fucking wreck. A wreck. I'm like, they know, they can smell it. This is terrible. I pull up, I do the audition. I do not get the part. I still think I did great. But man, and then it's funny that's the first thing that cast me in another episode.
Yeah. You deserved it. You parked your jalopy on the lot.
It's crazy. It was nuts, yo. I was like, you need to relax, Rivas.
No, that's exciting though.
It's good to get those first jitters out of the way. Get those first accidents out of the way.
Listen, it's so exciting to decide that you have a dream and then you get to go live it. It's the most lucky thing. And I think like the secret to life is kind of growing up and then kind of seeing behind the curtain of, the dreams you had and still being excited. Not getting bitter, because it's so easy. Like at first you don't know anything. You're so naive. Of course everything's exciting, but to keep it exciting, and that goes for like anything, even a relationship. Like definitely everybody can relate to that. People know love is like the greatest mystery of life, but people all think they know about it. But I think that's the secret. It's not letting the truth make you bitter. Seeing the truth and still staying. You're
not bitter.
Excited. I mean, I hope not. I still have time. I can get there. But you meet like old people, and some old people are so really.
What
really,
happens to them?
I don't know.
Some of them get so grumpy.
Well, that's what happens to them.
They get
They're
grumpy.
Like, this is it. This is life. Like there's nothing. This is what it is, and that's exciting when you're excited. Speaking of death,
hit me.
When my grandmother passed, it was the most peaceful time of my life. I don't know how else to describe it. And she was my best friend, and that was the first person that I loved that had passed. And it is, it's very profound when somebody dies, even more than when somebody is born, because it's magical of a new baby. It's and it's like the sweetest time of anyone's life, for sure. But death is something very profound in a different way. And how when somebody dies, it's like everything is profound, like the wind is profound, the leaves are profound, like just everything in the world seems so like, or whatever it is for you. But for me, it just felt so I was very, very earth connected when my grandmother, and she was very earthy too. She's very down to earth and loved nature. Green was her favorite color, So yeah, it was the most peaceful time of my life, and I felt very, very connected spiritually to myself and to the earth. And sometimes I try to kind of capture that feeling again now, and I kind of can't.
I'll help you.
Yeah? At your show?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
Anything else?
You'll give me a copy of your book and you'll sign it.
I will give you a copy of my book.
And you'll sign it, not just your name, like something.
Yeah, I never let this be known. Many people listening have probably been at a book signing. You have never gotten a book with just my name in it.
Great.
It is always a message.
Amazing.
Usually a different message.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm reading Alexei Navalny's autobiography. Have you read it?
No.
It's really, really fascinating and very worth it.
Why?
Very worth it. Why? The man had hope. The man had hope. And
Didn't work.
Unfortunately, not for him. No. And it didn't work for Martin Luther King. And it didn't work for RFK. And it makes me very sad when I think about these people with the great hope that have affected me very deeply. Martin Luther King in particular, who's like a prophet as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, the earth didn't treat Alexei right either, but he wrote an autobiography. And, they compare it to Alexander Solzhenitsyn's book, and it's in other books, other great Russian books. But it's interesting because, first of all, the love he shared with his wife is very beautiful. And amidst all these huge political ideas he's talking about, it suddenly lands very, very tangibly when suddenly he'll talk about his wife. And sometimes he glows and sometimes he just says, she's just great. And it's like, oof, like you can feel it. But you can just feel it, the bond they had. But beyond that, the depiction of him in prison is very interesting. I do a show called Mayor of Kingstown where we shoot in a lot of prisons. I'm against jail. I'm just against. Have you ever been to prison? Have you ever been inside of a prison?
I've been inside of one, yeah.
What a terrible place.
Yeah.
What a terrible living hell on earth. And people get used to it and survive it. I know. And the real prison is the prison of the mind. We all know that. So there's something about that in this book. And I'm really enjoying it, and I haven't finished it yet. But, he didn't make it, but he finished this book before. And I would recommend it. It's very long. It's like, probably could have used an edit, but
Savage.
It's okay. Well, I mean, everybody's book could probably be used an edit.
Not mine.
But I also love that they didn't, that they left it. These are the man's final words. And he talks about his final words a lot because they make him believe he's going to, see his end. But in a country with so much, so many reasons to, and within that culture too, but in that country with so much corruption, to have incredible hope is beautiful, especially at this time while we're living here in this country. And corruption, also the idea of corruption, is very interesting to me, especially now while I'm working on this show. And the show is all the characters have a lot of
corruption.
Yeah, totally. That's a real thing.
What are you hopeful for as we start to wrap up?
What am I hopeful for? Love.
You're hopeful for love.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for love. I'm hopeful for love to be the thing.
The thing.
Yeah.
The thing.
The only thing.
The only thing.
Yeah.
Love. I'm hopeful for love. Love to be the thing. Love to be the only thing. Any questions for me?
What are you hopeful for? You're hopeful your show sells out.
It did.
I know. That's why I couldn't come see it.
I'm hopeful for... what am I hopeful for? I'm hopeful for the moment. I think about hope a lot because hope is a future that we have to be lucky enough to get to. But we have a moment right now that we get to love deeply, love others deeply. I think your Martins, your Malcolms, they were hopeful people, but they were also very present in the moment. That's what made them powerful. They were present in the moment, and so I'm hopeful that I have the ability to be present, and in that presence, I can be love.
I think that's really great. That's the most important thing, to be in the moment. In the great words of Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. It's good to say in the moment, I think. The great Mike Tyson.
The great Mike Tyson, the philosopher.
Yeah.
Everyone does have a plan until you get punched in the
That's
face.
a fact.
That's what I think about hope. Like, be here. Be here. Love here. Not when you get a certain amount of thing that it says you can love then, or you find the relationship that says you are worthy then, or find the thing that says you're gonna get it in a week, in a month, in a year. Oh, you'll work this much harder, and then you'll go on vacation. Like, just go on vacation.
Just go on vacation. Go to Colombia.
That's it.
Take the Colombian holiday.
Get your passport. Anything else for us?
Do you play the drums in your show?
Someone does.
Someone does. I knew you had percussion.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
You knew that? No one told you?
No one told me.
You just guessed that I had a percussionist on stage?
No. I saw a picture. I saw a photo. Maybe would have guessed it, but I saw a photo. And that's what actually, that's what made me want to see your show.
The percussionist?
The drums. No, not the percussionist per se. But
no shade to Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan, bring him in.
No, I think that we as artists, all of us as artists, are people of all of us are people of frequency, but artists very much, but probably no one more than musicians. And to bring that element in your show, I think it's magical. I think it can be magical. And that made me want to see it. I was like, oh.
Sick. Shout out to the drums. Shout out to the drums. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And that's our time, y'all. Thank you for being here. I am always grateful, and I will see you next week. Like, subscribe, share, tell your homies, and email us at brownenoughproductions@gmail.com. Peace.